How the hell did I wind up here? For this year's vacation, we wanted to up the production value.
So that meant learning how to use some new equipment. How come there's no picture, Phil?
I don't understand. They were working yesterday.
Did you take the lens caps off?
Nope, can't see a thing.
Smell something burning? So for this year's vacation, we went to Washington, D.C., and Assateague Island, Virginia, and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which for me was a bucket list item.
Can I fire the cannons now? Huh?
So in Washington, we stayed at the Hilton, which apparently, according to our cab driver, is where Reagan got shot in the 80s.
Next, we went to a hotel owned by a president. And then we went to a place where president goes to work. The funny thing about this place is we had this coffee cup. And in all the pictures you see here, this is an empty coffee cup because we had no place to put it. There are no garbage cans around the White House. I guess they suspect people of hiding things in them, like a full coffee cup, who knows. But anyway, we couldn't get rid of the coffee cup until we left the premises. So then it was a stop by the treasury to pick up some money. And then we had to think about what to do. Think.
In Washington, everything's free. All the Smithsonian's, all the museums, it's totally cool. Unfortunately, it was 100 degrees, so we had to go from one cab to another to get to places. One of the places we saw was the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History.
And we also went to the Nassau Smithsonian, which was very cool. After that, I decided to leave Shannon in her favorite place during a heat wave, which is water. And I buggered off to do something I've always wanted to do since I was old enough to watch cartoons. I'm just a fool, yes I'm only a fool, and I'm sitting here and get bucked uphill. Yes, I left my wife in the hot, hot sun, she almost melted away. So I told her I'd make it up to her, buy her big diamond someday. Oh, I'm just a fool, yes I'm only a fool, sitting on Capitol Hill.
For the Union Army got permission to start burying soldiers here on this plantation land in 1864. That's when Arlington became a military cemetery. Have you ever seen the movie Glory?
Yes.
It depicts the 54th Massachusetts African-American troops who served during the Civil War.
The grave of President John F. Kennedy, Jacqueline, to their infant children, and the eternal flame.
Beautiful views of Washington, D.C. If you walk past the white columned open structure ahead of us, Arlington House is closed, but there are beautiful views of Washington straight ahead. People out there taking pictures right now.
So as the lights started to fade on Washington, we went out and saw some of the monuments that get lit up so wonderfully at night, and oh man, was it ever beautiful.
Hi, I'm Shannon, and we recently went to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for a Civil War reenactment of the Battle of Gettysburg. Battle of Gettysburg, July 1st to 3rd, 1863. There was a series of battles, 3 or 4, over a 3-day period in the small town of Gettysburg of about 2,400 people. Today, the battlefield encompasses 10 miles around that small town. The reenactment was done in a farmer's field, a couple miles outside the battlefield. This is what we saw.
Yes, I do believe it is time for the cannons. But before you do, I just want to tell you, I've manipulated the film on a lot of this, so like I ain't really here on the cannon, and I ain't really getting blown up, and neither is my wife. But this is just kind of our interpretation of what we saw, and we tried to make it look as authentic as possible. Okay, the stories I've learned it so far. General Lee was moving his Confederate troops, who were dressed in gray, to fight in the North. And then when going by Gettysburg, he ran into the Army of the Potomac, which was the Union Army, dressed in blue. Now, what started out as a small exchange of fire turned into the deadliest battle ever fought in the Western Hemisphere. And there's an example of some of the fighting, and now some artillery fire.
24-pounder, fire! Notice the ringing sound. That gun is made of bronze where all the rest are made of iron.
So as the story goes, as the Confederate troops marched north, they were running low on supplies and wearing through their boots. Rumor had it there was a warehouse full of shoes in Gettysburg, and it was during this raid the two sides met for the first time.
Let's give them a big round of applause as they pass by.
So I'd like to thank my brother-in-law Ted Pilkington for supplying the music for our tour through the Gettysburg battlefield. And it just happened to be about shoes. I do not know what they say. If it came to a conflict of arms, the war will last at least 4 years. Northern politicians will not appreciate the determination and pluck of the South, and Southern politicians do not appreciate the numbers, resources, and patient perseverance of the North. Both sides forget that we are all Americans. I foresee that our country will pass through a terrible ordeal, a necessary expiation, perhaps, for our national sins. Robert E. Lee. So as we raced through the wheat fields at a white-knuckling 12 miles per hour, we all wore wireless headsets and listened to our guide give a detailed explanation of what we were seeing. Being new to riding a Segway, sometimes paying attention to what you were doing was more important than what you were seeing. Here we are approaching Little Round Top. From the peak of Little Round Top, we could see down to the Devil's Den. Now we're off again. We never stopped at any place for too long. This was more of a familiarization with the battlefield, and then you could come back later and drive through and take all the pictures you wanted. So here you see our guide on the left there. He's traveling through. He's letting us know about this barn with a cannon hole in it, but no time to stop and take pictures, so you don't get to see it here. And this is Cemetery Hill. and the statues around it. And this is the last stop on the tour. And we all got out and we took pictures. Of course, I took pictures of cannon after cannon after cannon. Oh, love the cannons. And this is where we parked our horses. So this is Devil's Den. It actually got its name a long time before the Civil War came about. But during the Civil War, this is when the Union Army tried to advance a little bit too quickly and exposed itself to an attack from the Confederate Army. So on these hills was some of the deadliest fighting that took place during the war. The area between Devil's Den and Little Round Top was known as the Slaughter Pen. Is it ironic that Abraham Lincoln is now portrayed by an actor who used a silencer? That's how historically accurate we are.
And I'd like to introduce to you the little-known general, General Griffith, from the Union side.
Thank you very much.
This flag, as we all know, is the American flag. This actually came on my burger at the Blue and Gray restaurant in Gettysburg. This flag, contrary to public belief, is actually the Confederate battle flag, not the Confederate flag. This is actually the Confederate flag. And this one is called the Fighting Irish flag. It's actually from an Irish unit in the Confederate Army at the Battle of Gettysburg. So the term Fighting Irish comes from this.
The morning of day 3. The Union Army marched to the battlefield heavily outnumbering the Confederate troops. Even so, this was General Lee's best chance to win the war. Now, these guys carrying the flags were prime targets for enemy sharpshooters, but when someone went down, another would raise the flag and carry on. The Confederates planned to attack the center of the Union line, thereby splitting the Federal Army in two and capturing the more advantageous ground. With over 150 rebel cannons spanning 2 miles, the Confederates brought it. The cannon fire could be heard from over 40 miles away. The concussion from these cannons could cause organs to rupture and eardrums to burst. And that would cause blood to run down the faces of these artillerymen. Some of them actually used mud as earplugs. Well, with only 100 cannons to back them, the Union finally silenced its guns and turned into a retreat position. But what it was is the Union quieted everything, and the rebels decided like it was time to take the opportunity, and they advanced on the field. So as they got into range, the Union cannons opened up and just obliterated them. The smoke would get so bad on the battlefield that certain soldiers would wear red just so their own side could see what they were doing. Yesterday we rode on the pinnacle of success. Today, absolute ruin seems to be our portion. General Gorgas. So this is a bullet from back in the day, and it was designed so when it hit you, it would flatten out and cause a bigger wound. There's a good picture done by my wife. And now to put it into context, 3 days of fighting in Gettysburg resulted in the deaths of over 52,000 soldiers. And there were no dog tags back then, so the soldiers would sew their names into their uniforms. In total, the death count over 4 years, the Civil War claimed the lives of over 620,000 soldiers, 400,000 of which were MIA. So during our time in Gettysburg, we stayed at the Gaslight Inn bed and breakfast. And the breakfasts were really good. I thought so. But at the end of every day, we'd all meet out on the porch and have beers and talk about the day of war. It was a lot of fun. Winner, winner! Lincoln dinner.
And how cool is this? This is the only thing I bought in Gettysburg, with its actual buttons, spent bullets, and knapsack hooks from the battlefield. Too cool.
So this is the little red rocket that got us around America. And in the background here you can see the festival tents where you could buy the memorabilia. Anywhere from full uniforms, muskets, rifles, even plastic army men were there. You could get just about anything. And this is one of the few events you can go to where you actually get to see men get excited about buttons. And also any kind of flag that you wanted from the Civil War era was there and present, and I bought 3 of them, and we all know my wife got hers on a burger. And it was a lot of fun checking that stuff out. So we got back in our car and headed outside of town to go see the Saxe Bridge. It's a 100-foot long covered bridge that was built in 1854. It was also used by the Union Army to get to Gettysburg. Swimming, and it's gorgeous and beautiful. And now let's go check out our room. 56. It's kind of dark. So the light switch is located over here. I'm going to turn it on. There we go. Yeah, no, there's no light. Oh, there's Shannon over in the bathroom with her one and only light. Oh, she wants to show you the bathroom. Here is the size of my hand.
Is it a bug? Something. It's on me. This room is on me. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, Phil.
Welcome to TripAdvisor. So
So Misty of Assateague Island is about how the Spanish galleons crashed on the barrier islands of Virginia in the 1700s. and the horses got loose. The horses became feral and have turned into the wild ponies of Oceancity Island, who are now protected by the American government. It's been my dream to see them. Okay, one of the things we learned when we were driving through the Oceancity Island Wildlife Refuge is anytime you see a car pulled over, pull over, because there's going to be ponies.
Now, we had also gotten to a point where we hadn't seen any ponies up close, and we were kind of worried that after seeing quite a bit of the island, we weren't going to get a chance. But then, as chance would have it, we turned into a little campsite area, and lo and behold,
ponies everywhere!
Now, we learned something from somebody who'd been there 18 years and hadn't seen a group of ponies this big, and was that because their diet is strictly what they eat on the island,
grass,
you can't feed them anything. Otherwise they could die because their stomach and digestive system can't handle it.
It's called colic.
But these buggers were more than happy to survey all the picnic tables, so I think the people here had to be pretty responsible and not leave anything out for them. And now is when Shannon's going to ride one of the ponies. Woohoo! Woohoo! The place right in front of their house.
Turn around when possible. Highway 12,
Now, are we going to have the general in slippers? Has it been bad?
It's just, they kind of...
Oh my... Has been bad. This year's vacation was Washington, D.C., Oceancity Island, and we did a little time travel to Gettysburg, 1983. 1983, when Ronald Reagan got shot.
Okay, so Miss... Take whatever.
And we time traveled back to Gettysburg, 1863, July 1, 2, and 3. All right, so this big
the island called Misty of stop! Take two.
home to wild ponies that roam untethered and free, and my Amazon just arrived. Yay! Which in this case is an envelope. So today I got a new charging cable and a new iPad cover and a new charger for all my instruments that need charging.
And my personal favorite. Start again. And my personal favorite. Start again. Again. Start again.
What did I do? Oh.
Jacket, yeah.
Yesterday we rode the pinnacle of success. Thank you!
Okay, I'm going to the kitchen so I don't disturb it. 1, 2. Pause!
So So now it's time to play Kiss the Horse in the Hiney. I can edit most of this out. Some of it I may just leave. Hey, look at the camera.
Okay.
Swing your legs.
Can we get back to the story here?
Okay. Once we reach Tanzania.
Okay, I quit.